hit it with your shoulders, focus on the left hand. I would say when I hit a good two-handed backhand, it's probably 80% left hand, especially on the counter. On the two-handed backhand dig, it's different. There's more right hand, you're kind of cupping it. When I'm trying to hit a two-handed backhand volley hard, it's all left hand.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Yeah.
Okay, looks like we're going. All right, so we are back with another episode of my show. Firstly, just want to say, when you're at the tournaments, if you're subscribed to the newsletter or if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, come up to me and tell me. It's my favorite thing to hear. I was just at the Kansas City PPA. This nice couple, blonde lady, came up to me and they had originally asked me for a picture. And usually I'm in a rush at these tournaments. I have so much going on and I'm not as good at, I'm always nice to fans. I'm never going to be mean to a fan, obviously, but it is a bit of a weakness of mine because I'm in a rush and things are going on. And obviously like a year and a half ago, nobody wanted a picture with me because why would they? I was just a random guy. Now people are asking for pictures all the time. And sometimes I'm kind of like, all right, let's do it fast. And I feel a little bad, but I will never rush a newsletter subscriber. If you're subscribed to the newsletter, that's my favorite thing here. Seriously, I'd love to hear it. And just because all the work we're putting into it, also with my own YouTube channel, just James Ignatowich YouTube, and my Instagram, obviously. Yeah, those people, you get special treatment every single time. So make sure you tell me. Also, just for me personally, I love to hear it. So anyway, we're going to get into it here. Oh, looks like the camera's over here, actually. I'm going to start looking over here now, guys. Looks like I was looking over there, which is not the audience. I had somebody comment to me saying, look at the camera because it's, you look at the audience. Truthfully, I'm sure you're right. I just have no idea what I'm doing. But we're getting a little better every day. We're learning a couple things here and there every day. Very marginally. We're getting a little better. Not a lot better. Just ask Josh. I might not even be getting better. Yeah. All right. We're just going to get into it. So a lot of players, it seems, have a bit of an issue knowing where to volley the ball, where to counter the ball, depending on, let's say where the ball is, obviously, where it's around your body, where they are on the court, what grip they use. There are a ton of different factors to know whether you are hitting a backhand or a forehand with your volleys. So we are going to do a pretty deep dive into when you should be hitting a backhand versus when you should be hitting a forehand. The first thing is it depends on the grip that you use. So for me, I use the continental grip, which is the traditional shake hand grip. If you don't know what the continental grip is, ask any local pro or Google it. Continental grip in tennis, same thing as in pickleball. Basically what it means is if, this were your paddle, up, down like this, you would take it this way, right? Put it on the net, and then make sure it's perpendicular to the ground, and then just shake the hand of the grip. So it's going to feel I would say, pretty sturdy is one of the advantages of the continental grip. I think that it's easier to hit backhands with the continental grip than it is with an Eastern grip or semi-Western grip. But we're not going to get into all that, how to find your grip. That happens a lot with people at the clinics. They're out there asking me, how do I find my grip and things like that. We don't have time for that, guys. I'm sorry. It's late. Just, you'll be able to Google whether, what a continental grip is. And again, there's going to be any 4 or 5 or above. Locally, we'll be able to tell you which one it is. So anyway, if you have a continental grip like me, or like a lot of other pros, and there are pros that use semi-Western and Eastern grips, even one that uses a Western grip, so that's okay. If you have a continental grip, I think that no matter what side of the court you're on, you should be hitting a backhand at the area of, right shoulder and below. I think a backhand's easier there than a forehand. This is my right shoulder. This is the chicken wing spot. And, it's a tough spot. Everybody knows that if you're out here, you hit a forehand, and if you're over here, you hit a backhand. Where it gets murky is kind of this area, the chicken wing. And I actually think that if you have a continental grip, it is, that chicken wing shot is actually not that bad. I think it's actually easier to hit a chicken wing with a backhand there, right? A backhand here at this spot than it is a forehand. I think you can hit a forehand if you have to. But I think that a backhand chicken wing, which is, the dreaded chicken wing, people are like, oh, I don't want to get chicken wing. Well, if you have a continental grip, I actually think this shot, right, this chicken wing backhand shot is more effective than a forehand where your elbow's coming behind you a little, that ball's going to go up. Most important thing with any counter, any volley, is that it is going down. It's not the pace. The pace is a distant second. Number one is that it goes down. Well, chicken wings can actually go down, and that's what I teach. I think that if you do get caught in that chicken wing situation, which is something that's going to happen, it's just a natural. If you're playing me, I'm sure I'll find it, right? You just get the ball down here. That's all you have to do. And if you try to find a forehand here, that's how people get jammed. And here's some food for thought. If you've ever watched other people play pickleball, which I'd hope you watch others, you don't just, go to the course and just only focus on yourself and look at your, mirror on your phone. Actually, that's kind of what I do. Anyway, no, I'm just trying to be funny, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, if you watch other people play, I'm sure you will notice that people are hitting way more forehands here and getting jammed than they are getting jammed with too many backhands. People say, oh, I don't like to hit the backhand here. I hit too many backhands. Well, it's almost the lesser of two evils because you are going to be put into awkward situations on the pickleball court. And trust me, especially at the levels below 4-5, you will find a lot more people getting jammed with a forehand here than you will hitting too many backhands. And that's because people think that anything to the left of their head is a backhand, to the right of their head is a forehand. They kind of just think, okay, left to me is a backhand, right to me is a forehand. That's not how it works. So the coverage, as I would describe it, is to the right of my right shoulder, it's a forehand. If it's at the right shoulder here, it's a little situational. I like to hit a backhand warrior, but that's something we'll get into based on grip also in a minute. And then if it's in between my shoulders, it's a one-handed backhand. And then if it's to the left of my left shoulder, it's a two-handed backhand. That's a little more advanced. If you're somebody that really only likes their two-handed backhand or really only likes their one-handed backhand, well, I'm not going to teach you how to hit that shot in one podcast. That's going to take time. So either way, my coverage, one hand here, two hands out here. But if you really want to simplify it, if it's to the right of my right shoulder, or if it's kind of at my right shoulder for the most part, it's a backhand. Once it gets to left of my right shoulder is a backhand, obviously. Once it gets to the right of my right shoulder, then it's a forehand. Okay, so now things get a little interesting because now we're going to talk about when people use an Eastern grip. And Eastern, I think, is the most common grip. I would say seems to be that Eastern. It's a little easier to hit a forehand in Eastern grip or a semi-Western for that matter. I wouldn't recommend a Western grip, but if you've got an Eastern or a semi-Western, you probably like your forehand a little more than your backhand. That's just how it works. It's a little easier to hit a forehand with that grip than it is with a backhand. I've experimented with the grip, and it's a good grip to have, either Eastern or semi-Western. So I think it's actually situational in this case. If you have an Eastern or a semi-Western grip, I think that if you are on the left side of the court and it's in that right shoulder area or right hip area, you should be hitting a forehand if you're on the left side of the court. And if you're on the right side of the court, you should be hitting a backhand at that right shoulder / right hip area. Okay, I'll explain. So if you are on the right side of the court, even if you like your forehand better, which a lot of players do, if you're on the right and the ball is coming from the middle, I would highly, highly recommend hitting a backhand anywhere around here or even the chicken wing. Reason for that is when you're on the right and the ball is obviously to the left of your right shoulder, I would say if you're standing on the right side of the court, 85% of the time, the ball is going to be to the left of your right shoulder. All of the action is going to be flowing to the left of you because you're on the right side of the court and your right shoulder is also on the right side of your body, right? So if it's all this, then you have the privilege to just completely sit backhand very often. It's one of the best parts of playing the right. You can kind of just, what I mean by sit backhand, is just kind of camp out and be completely ready for the backhand. You don't even have to think of hitting a forehand because as the geometry of the court dictates, if the ball is from the middle and then it goes to the right of your right shoulder, that shot's going out anyway. So it's not even possible to hit a forehand. So you're lucky when you're on the right. You can say, okay, I know that it's coming to my backhand. If it comes to my forehand, I'm just going to get out of the way or just not touch it. So what that means is you just sit with the backhand and you say, okay, I'm going to focus on hitting the best backhand counter possible, best backhand volley possible if it comes to me. And you'll find a lot of the best right side players, I'd say actually probably all of them have great backhand counters, backhand volleys, because they're super used to that and they know it's coming. It's easier to hit a volley if you know that it's coming to your backhand. Not a radical statement. Okay, so that's important. And just know that even if you do like your forehand better than your backhand, if you're on the right side of the court and the ball is coming from the middle, for you to hit a forehand is very tough. And most of those forehands that you're even going to be hitting are going out anyway. So you don't really have that much of a choice. You have to sit backhand. Okay. Now we're going to go to the left side of the court. If you're on the left side of the court, you have an Eastern grip. I would highly recommend the forehand anywhere in this right shoulder area. The other reason for that is if you do happen to hit that ball late, which will happen, since you're on the left side of the court, you hit it late, it's going to kind of flow to the right of you, and it's still going to be in because you have a ton of court to the right side of your body. If the ball comes from the middle and you hit a backhand late on the left, there's not a lot of court to the left of you. You don't actually have the privilege to miss a backhand volley late, so to speak, or kind of catch it behind you, catch it here when you're on the left, because that ball is going to go out at a very high frequency. If you're on the left and you have a forehand, you catch it late, not a big deal. All that court is over there to the right of it. And if you're on the left with that Eastern grip, right, or no matter what your grip is, 70% probably of the action of the pickleball that's being played is all going to the right of your right shoulder. So there's a lot more forehand hitting when you are on the left. Okay, so that applies if you have a semi-Western grip also. You really like your forehand here. And I would say that if you do have a semi-Western grip, then you can slide a little forehand. You can kind of clear your body and hit a lot of forehands. I don't love that shot. Obviously, you can't cover as much forehand or body with your forehand as you can with your backhand. So I think sliding backhand and committing to a backhand is something you'll see a lot in the pros, people sliding backhand. Sliding forehand is something that you do a little more sparingly. I think it's a little riskier because if you do try to, let's say the ball comes to your chest even, just directly to the center of your body, you try to hit a forehand, not easy. Backhand, probably the easiest backhands you could hit. So I think obviously in general, pickleball is played with maybe 70 to 75% backhand volleys. There are just more backhand volleys being hit than forehand volleys, regardless of grip. So those are the main things here. All right, so now I'm here to talk to you guys about Selkirk backpacks. I probably shouldn't have to talk to you about them. I mean, you see them, it's enough of an ad to see them at all these tournaments. I mean, it seems like everybody's got one, and I actually think they're the best. I'm always begging Rob to send me more. I've got like 4 or 5 backpacks. They last so long too. I think the biggest thing about Selkirk backpacks is that they're really durable, especially with me. I mean, I'm putting as many paddles as possible in the backpacks. I've got gallons of coffee in the backpacks, sweaty shirts. I've done everything possible that you shouldn't do to a backpack, to a Selkirk backpack, and I've had it now for 2 years. So I'm a huge proponent of the Selkirk backpacks. I think the tour line ones especially are very good. They look cool, they look sleek. I personally like the black ones. I'm known to bring 2 of them on court every match. So yeah, these are just my personal opinions on the Selkirk backpacks. I also think the team line is good, and yeah, I think if you want one, get one, because they're gonna last you quite a while, and they also look pretty cool, and they don't necessarily just look like a pickleball backpack either. I mean, I can wear them pretty much and bring them wherever, and it doesn't really, it kind of just fits in with any other backpack that you would have. So, and I would highly, highly recommend, and I think that the game is going this way, to hit a two-handed backhand that's to the left of your left shoulder. I've talked about this a lot, and I'm going to keep talking about it because it's so important, and they're going to look back in a few years and say, wow, everybody is being taught now to hit a two-handed backhand volley when it's out here because it's simply just a better shot. I don't think anybody, even with a one-handed backhand, would tell you that they love this wide backhand here and feel like they can control it super well. And me, I'm pretty unbiased. I love the one-handed backhand at the chest. That's what I do. And I have the two-handed backhand out here. And, well, I don't need to convince you. If you watch the best pros, when they have this one, they're starting to put 2 hands on this backhand volley. That's a trend. The trend is your friend. And I think that in 5 years, pretty much every pro is going to be hitting a two-handed backhand volley when it is wide to the left of the left shoulder, because it's easier to hit this one harder because you've got a left hand behind it, and you can also control it. Very tough to control the ball that you had flailing out here with one hand. So I would figure it out. I would just learn how to do it. And no, just kidding. I'm going to tell you how to do it. So the way to practice this one is actually lefty forehand volleys, because this one's not as much about control. You're not really trying to control a counter. You're just trying to hit it hard. You're not really thinking, I mean, you watch the pros, they're just trying to get the ball down. I don't think pros are thinking, I'm going to counter this ball to somebody's left hip. I'm not thinking that. I'm just thinking, oh, see it, down. That's all. And I'm pretty sure most pros are thinking the same thing. So this is what we're going to do. Take the paddle in your left hand. Don't even use your right hand. and just hit as many lefty forehand volleys as you possibly can, remembering to choke up on the paddle with your left hand, because when you hit a two-handed backhand, your right hand is going to be on the bottom of the grip. So choke up on it, and also hit the ball with your shoulders. The best backhands are hit like this with our shoulders, right? Kind of like in baseball. You kind of hit with your shoulders, I think. I don't know. I wasn't that good at baseball. Pickleball, I'm good at. Hit it with your shoulders. Focus on the left hand. I would say when I hit a good two-handed backhand, it's probably 80% left hand, especially on the counter. On the two-handed backhand dink, it's different. There's more right hand. You're kind of cupping it. But when I'm trying to hit a two-handed backhand volley hard, it's all left hand. Okay. So we've gotten into that now. Now we're going to talk about what to do if you have a two-handed backhand volley only. A lot of female players only like to hit a two-handed backhand volley. They don't feel comfortable with a one-handed backhand volley. They just don't have a lot of strength here in the wrist. Super common. The best female players in the world, Annalie Waters, Anna Bright, Catherine did it with one hand, but maybe Rachel Rohrabacher, you'll see. Those great female players are not hitting backhand volleys with one hand. They're only hitting backhand volleys with two hands for the most part. I mean, once in a blue moon, they might hit one with one hand, right? But that's important. So you know that if you have a two-handed backhand volley only, you don't like your one-handed backhand volley, that is okay. Had a ton of people, especially female players in my clinics. Well, here's how I describe it. The female players in my clinics that say that they don't like their one-handed backhand, and they ask if it's a huge problem, I say no, it's totally fine. It's less of a problem than if you're a guy, right? If you're a male player where a lot of the balls are coming fast right at your body, especially if you get at the higher levels. At the lower levels, that's kind of just, not really dependent on gender. It's just dependent on how good you are. This is more of like once you get to 4, 5, 5-0 and the genders start to matter here, then if you're a guy and you only like a two-handed backhand volley, that's a problem. We'll get into that. But for the most part, if you are somebody at the lower levels, only likes the two-handed backhand volley here, not a big deal. You're probably great out here. You love it when you can load up and it's to the left of your left shoulder. But if it's in between your shoulders, you're hitting it at your chest, you kind of feel a little jammed up and you're not sure what to do. So I would recommend sliding to your right in this situation, because the more of your body that you can clear, right? So the more of your body that you can get out of the way of the ball, the harder you can hit a two-handed backhand volley. So if it comes right to your chest and you have a habit of saying, well, and this is the biggest thing actually. So the biggest mistake that you see with people that only like their two-handed backhand volley in pickleball is they don't like the ball at their chest, which of course they don't, but then they decide to slide to their left and hit a forehand to compensate, and then they get jammed. I think you can do that sparingly. Again, I think you can do that when you're on the left and you have a semi-western grip occasionally, but the vast majority of the time, I would say you should be sliding to your right to hit a two-handed backhand there, because if it does come to your chest and you've slid to your right, but you haven't slid far enough, you can still kind of get it down. You've hit two-handed backhand volleys, I'm sure, in your life where you kind of can just punch it down. You're not going to hit the best shot in the world, but you get it down and you stay alive. But if you slide to your left and you don't slide far enough, the point's over. You can't, there's anything to this left shoulder area, you can't hit it with a forehand unless you get really lucky. So it's a lot riskier. Of course you can slide forehand, but I'm not teaching you to do it most of the time. Most of the time, slide to the right, slide backhand. So that's the main thing here. If it's at your chest, move to your right as much as you can, as quick as you can, because you'll also know that with a backhand, the quicker that you move to your right, you can actually generate pace like that. I'm sure you've seen Annalie Waters do that a lot. She doesn't just stand there to hit two-handed backhand, because people don't go directly to a two-handed backhand. They go right to the chest a lot, and she'll slide like this. And then she gets it hard. Of course, she'll hit some forehands too, but I think her best shot is her backhand. Okay, so we're going to, with a two-handed backhand, try to get your body out of the way, mostly slide right to the right. And if you're on the right side of the court, always slide to the right. You don't want to slide to the left to hit a forehand there too much if you have a two-handed backhand. It's just, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it at all. So that would be it. I think one thing also, that if it comes to the right hip of you, try to hit a backhand more often than forehand. I think you can hit a forehand at the right hip, especially if you're on the left and it comes from the middle. But I've just personally seen more mistakes come from there. I think that the right hip backhand is not a spot to be afraid of. I think that backhand, that counter can actually be something that's hit down pretty consistently. So that's it. I don't have anything else for you guys. Make sure to leave the next questions in the comments. I've been responding to all the comments. I had some haters that said, Jimmy, you don't respond to any of the comments. Well, that's changed. I'm responding to, I think all of them, all of the reasonable ones. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching.